Okay, we're officially live now. So good morning, everybody. My name is David Gutchin from the Office of Policy and Management. I want to welcome you all to our Personal Care Attendant Workforce Council meeting. This will actually be my last meeting as chair since I'll be retiring April 1st. And so I want to say it's really been an honor and privilege to work with some of you for a long time, and some of you I haven't even started working with. So hello, goodbye. But it really has been a real privilege to work with such committed individuals on such an important issue. But I'm very pleased to be able to pass the baton to Claudio Gualtieri, who is able to join us this morning, who is the Undersecretary of Health and Human Services at the Office of Policy and Management and has been a strong advocate for self-direction for many years and has been involved with the PCA Workforce Council over the last few months and started here at OPM last March. So got thrown into the fire right in the middle of a pandemic. But you folks will be in incredibly good hands with Claudio. And so Claudio,
yeah, thank you.
Intros, if you want to say a few words.
Yeah, that would be great. First, I just want to echo, I know everyone shares great esteem for David Gutchin, who has admirably led this Workforce Council and has just been an incredible advocate for home and community-based care, long-term supportive services. He's been an instant mentor to me and a much longer mentor to Melissa, and I know we, on a personal level, will miss him greatly. And for those of you who are new to the council, it's great to kind of come in with new faces because we can all learn and approach this work together. I've met, worked with, and interacted with a number of you. Those who I have not already, I look forward to doing so. I see some old friends, Kathy Flaherty there, that we haven't had a chance to reconnect recently, but this will give us a new context to do so. And like David said, one of the real prides of my earlier work when I was an advocate for AARP was working side by side with a lot of family advocates and with SEIU and union employees to push to get this program, the Community First Choice program, off the ground and running. I was really thrilled when Dawn and I got to work together as kind of co-chairs of the Community First Choice Council to get that program up and running, and it's great to see how the program has matured and self-direction is just part of the mainstream now here in Connecticut. So with that, I look forward to officially taking the reins in February and afterwards, but did just want to add my welcome and thanks for all of you for the work we'll be doing together in the very near future.
Hey, Claudio, maybe if you could stick around for a minute, we'll do quick introductions because there are quite a few new faces here. So Peg, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Good morning, Peg Shagru Szymanski, and I am new to the council this year. I look forward to working with everyone, and I will be representing more of the consumer worker, the voice of the consumer worker. So looking forward to working with everyone.
Thanks. Eileen?
Welcome, Claudio. I am Eileen Healy. I'm the Executive Director of Independence Northwest in Naugatuck, one of the 5 independent living centers in the state. And I'm here representing people with physical disabilities, I do believe.
Kathy?
Kathy Flaherty, I'm the Executive Director of Connecticut Legal Rights Project. We represent clients living with mental health conditions, some of which are developmental disabilities. So here representing consumer employers.
Fran?
Hi, I'm Fran Mazzarella. Just want to say thank you for having me on this council, and I represent CIL. Our primary focus of business over the years has been group home development in the state of Connecticut and Massachusetts. I personally administer 2 programs. One is called Loans for Accessibility for the private sector, of people that are looking for home mods, and I also administer Money Follows the Person on behalf of the state of Connecticut. So I'm excited to be here. I hope I can bring something to the table that maybe others are not familiar with or just have a different outlook.
Welcome. Adam? Adam, you're on mute.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome, Claudio. My name is Adam Prizio, and I am a staff attorney with the Connecticut Office of the Healthcare Advocate. And I'm nominated by our healthcare advocate, Ted Doolittle. In a previous portion of my career, I worked for an independent living center in upstate New York, where I advocated for the integration and civil rights of disabled people, and sat on New York's Community First Choice Development and Implementation Council. So at some point, Claudio, I may want to compare notes with you about the two programs, because I have some ideas. In any case, it's great to be here and nice to meet you all.
Thanks. Lucas?
Hi, I'm Lucas Sunwall. I'm a newer addition to council. I am a consumer employer myself and a person with significant physical disabilities. Also a student currently, so I'm hoping that maybe I can bring a new perspective as a younger person with a disability who, you know, goes through the consumer employer life.
And Dawn?
Hi, Dawn Lambert. I represent DSS. Some of my responsibilities include Money Follows the Person, Community First Choice, and the ARPA initiatives.
Right.
And Claudio already knows me, but I have not met some of the other council members, so it's nice to meet you.
Right. And then last but certainly not least, in terms of council members, Denise?
Hi, everyone. David, I just want to say you're going to be very much missed. I learned a lot from you. And Claudio, welcome aboard. Big shoes to fill, but we're here to help support and learn together. I'm Denise Palladino. I am a PCA Workforce Council member representing the Department of Developmental Services. I'm the Self-Determination Director here in the South Region, and I oversee folks who self-direct supports, as well as our BSP program, which is Behavioral Services Program. So those are our youths from 8 to 21 with clinical behavioral needs. And I also oversee our self-advocate coordinators, who are our state employees who have intellectual and or physical disabilities.
And then Melissa, the person who keeps everything together for the council and does all the work. So.
Hi, I'm Melissa Morton, and it's good to see the faces of some of you who I've only spoken to on the phone to bring you up to speed on the council. So good to have a full council again. I think we just have a couple vacancies left to fill. So nice to see everybody. And I'm so happy that Claudio is taking over as chair. He's going to, you know, lead us right along, but I am going to miss David terribly. David is not only the chair of this council who I work with in this capacity, but he's also my direct boss who I lean on for everything. So I'm going to miss David terribly and keep trying to get him to not leave, but he won't listen. So we're going to miss you, David, but welcome to everybody.
Right. Thanks. And then we have three guests with us. Deirdre, Stephen, Christina, if you want to introduce yourself. Deirdre? You're on mute, Deirdre. Sorry.
Hi, I think Deidre has issues with Teams. I'm sorry. I think she has issues with Teams audio.
Okay. Well, we know who she is. So, Christina, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Christina Fitzpatrick. I am the training director for the 1199 Training Fund. I started back in December of 2020, and we've been running training since then with me on the team. Thank you.
And then Steve?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Bender. I'm the executive director of the 1199 Training Fund. And good to see some of you who I've met before, and good to meet the rest of you who I haven't. The Training Fund, I think folks probably know, administers education and training programs of various kinds for eligible members of District 1199 in a number of healthcare settings. And in this context, the Training Fund has been operating the PCA orientation program since the inception of the program, I think 6 years or so ago. And in addition to that, pre-COVID, we ran a robust voluntary training program as well that we are looking forward to getting back to in the coming year, hopefully. But the orientation program has been operating and is currently functioning, although it was shut down for a short period at the beginning of COVID.
Well, it's very exciting to see so many new members of the council, thanks to the hard work of Melissa and Claudio's help getting vacancies filled, because for a long time, there were only really about 3 or 4 squares that we were looking at every meeting. So it's nice to see a lot more people involved. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve and Christina, who's going to give us an update.
Sure, Okay, I will start. You know, I'm actually not used to Teams. I was asked to give a budget update, and then Christina.
Do you want me to try and screen share, Steve?
Yeah, if you could bring up the budget document that I sent you. Sorry,
Sure.
we're a Zoom organization, so that's what I know how to use well as far as
That's
sharing.
fine.
Yeah.
Let me try and see. Teams doesn't always cooperate with me sharing my screen, so let me see. There you go. Does everybody see the budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So all I thought, I was asked to share some budget information. And so what I've done here, and Melissa, I'll ask you to scroll in a minute, but not quite yet. There are 2 tabs on this document. One is from the last fiscal year, which ran from July 2020 to June 2021, and then the current fiscal year, there are, which is slightly different budget. So basically, the way our budget has been written, and we really, in the middle of COVID, we really revamped our budget from what it had been in previous years. So this budget is showing exclusively what it costs to run the orientation program. And in this document, we were running voluntary trainings in addition to the orientation program up until the beginning of March 2020, and then it was all shut down. And so this is showing from July 2020 to June 2021, we started the orientation program virtually on Zoom, which is what we're currently doing, again in August of 2021. I'm sorry, in August of 2020. And so this is really an 11-month budget of what our expenses were pretty much. Melissa, if you want to scroll down a little bit. You know, the way we have our budget broken down is our administrative costs and then the program costs. The program cost, which is really the bulk of the budget, include 3 full-time staff members. Christina, who you'll hear from in a minute, is our director who was hired in December 2020 to run the entire program. And then the wages of our trainers. The trainers who do our orientation program are paid hourly per each session that we run. And then the other chunk of the budget is the stipends that are paid, and this is in the collective bargaining agreement. Each PCA who completes an orientation receives a $48 stipend for completing that 3-hour orientation. And so if you scroll just a tiny bit more down, Melissa, you can see here in this budget, I put in red at the bottom here, we were estimating approximately 350 PCAs completing the orientations per month. It ended up being slightly higher than that. And so for this fiscal year that ended in June 2021, the total that was spent was about $609,000. Melissa, if you want to click the other tab now, which is the current fiscal year. Thanks. And so, and if you scroll down a little bit, again, this includes cost for 3 full-time staff members, Christina, plus we have 2 full-time staff that we call enrollment specialists. And then you could scroll down a little bit more, Melissa, please. Okay. Yep. And so you can see here, we estimated 300 PCAs per month would complete orientations in this fiscal year. That's a little bit less than the last fiscal year because there had been, when the program was shut down from March to July, those PCAs still needed to complete in the following fiscal year. So those numbers were higher last year. And we're actually very close to on target for this is showing the numbers for the first 6 months of this fiscal year from July to December. And we were estimating an average of 300 a month. And we're pretty much, if you see in the red there, pretty much exactly on target there. So the total budget for this year that we think is on target and we expect to spend it is that $511,000 that's at the bottom there. The right-hand column is just 6 months worth halfway through the year. So that is, that's how we frame our budget, is administrative expenses, staff expenses, and then the PCA stipends. And going forward into the future, we do hope to, as I said, to reinstitute some version of a voluntary training program. In the past, we had run voluntary training workshops on things including working with people with Alzheimer's. There was a care for the caregiver or self-care workshop that we offered. We worked with Capital Community College in Hartford and ran what was called a fundamental skills for PCAs, sort of a combination of caregiving skills. And there are, and when if and when we're able to reinstitute voluntary training, certainly we'd be very interested in working with any of you and other stakeholders to do some kind of trainings that would be COVID related that are current and would be helpful. And there are some examples of that in other states where we are in contact with that we'd be very interested in instituting something like that. So, so that's sort of just to give you a sense of how we frame our budget and what it costs. Certainly, if we're able to add voluntary trainings back in, that would cost a little bit more, but that's something we're very interested in. And Christina had put together a chart of about the orientation program this year. Melissa, are you able to bring that one up as well?
Yeah. Am I sharing it?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry, Melissa. I had it up.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Perfect. No, that's fine.
Okay, so hopefully everyone can see this. So Steve gave you the budget information, but these are kind of the numbers and the data behind it. So I have framed out here July of 2020 to June of 2021. So state fiscal year 2021. As you can see, the number of PCAs completed during these months is listed in this column, and the attendance rate, we figured we'd add that in there. So the amount of people that enrolled versus the amount of people here in percentage that actually completed the training, the orientation session. As you can see, we didn't have any orientations in July because we had shut down, and it increases steadily from that point because we had a lot of a backlog of PCAs hired during the shutdown that needed to catch up. So just to interpret it a little bit, the attendance rate was very high in the first
6 months, and then it kind of plateaued, evened off to what it was pre-pandemic. It was very similar attendance rates as it was in the in-person, because these are all representative of virtual orientation sessions. So this is the state fiscal year 21. And just to point out, there are 32 sessions in this fiscal year and 1 monolingual Spanish session starting in February. Then we just have it broken down for the first 2 quarters of state fiscal year 2022, July through December of last year. Again, the attendance rate is listed here. And as Steve had mentioned, we are on track on average for the number of people that have completed, the number of PCAs that have completed is roughly 300. And we reduced the amount of training sessions to 21 because we had gotten through the backlog and budget-wise. So there were 20 English sessions and 1 monolingual Spanish session in that last 6 months.
Great. Thanks, Steve and Christina. Does anybody have any questions for Steve or Christina? Melissa?
I just had a quick question, Christina and Steve. So the attendance rate, and I'm just hoping you can refresh my memory as to why we're consistently at 50% or below once we got through the backlog. And I remember that's what happened prior to the backlog as well. That's around where attendance was. Can you just speak to why we have a 50%, around a 50% attendance rate versus enrollment?
Yeah, so it seems to be that there are many factors. I think right now too, it's just people being sick, people needing to, work. Sometimes we get calls or people can't show up, and then we contact them after. They tell us that they didn't have childcare, or they may have been called into their shift or realized that they were at their shift and couldn't, work, take the orientation during it. Just typical things. And people know that we also have a good amount of sessions. So I think at points it does seem that they will reschedule and not actually reschedule before, they'll reschedule after they don't show up. That seems to be why. You can also see, I believe, I'm looking at this again, it seems to, not in 2020 because we were still in a backlog, but it does seem to, attendance seems to decrease around the holidays as well, just because people have things that come up with kids in school, vacations, family gatherings and all of that. Steve, I don't know if you wanted to add anything else.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. It's just, we don't think there's a magic answer to this. We are very aggressive in reaching out to folks with our enrollment staff, but it's a challenge of PCA's lives. And and we do offer 20 of these every month. And so I think people, and the requirement is that they have 90 days to attend a session from their date of hire. And so I think folks know that if they sign up for one and then they don't show up for it, they can get in another one. And in fact, they can. And so it's just the ongoing challenge. And it's really been more or less consistent over the years of this kind of show rate or no show rate. It's frustrating, but we, at this point, because it's been so consistent over the years, we sort of built that in to the workflow of our enrollment staff, that understanding and expecting that a lot of people are not going to attend a given session, and then they immediately will follow up to get them re-enrolled for another one.
Do we know, since it started virtual, I remember when we were doing in person that we often saw people enrolling for multiple sessions, hoping they'd be able to hit one. So that was part of that percentage too. Has moving to online decreased that at all? The number of people that enroll in multiple sessions?
Yeah, we don't have that anymore. Our database has been also updated a lot in the past year and a half or year or so. So there really isn't a way for people to double enroll. We built that into the system, whether they self-enroll online or they call into us. There's not a way to do that. So like Steve said, if someone is not able to show up, we will do our outreach immediately. If they are marked as no-show, we have it set up that an email goes out to them right away. So there is a lot built into this. It is just the challenges of their daily life as, as workers. So.
Great, thank you.
Peg?
Yeah, I just want to say, I think it's amazing that you give people an opportunity to pick up a different class based on the challenges that we all face, on a day-to-day schedule. So kudos to the team for allowing that built in. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. It really is just, I mean, you all know probably better than we do the challenges that low-wage workers face in their lives are just extraordinary. And so we do think it's important, these orientations that offer a lot of good orientation, a lot of good information, but we're really looking forward to getting to the point where we can offer a range of other things, and would love to talk to all of you more as we're developing that.
Right. Any other questions? Dawn?
Hey, just a comment. And Steve, I know we did get your December invoice on the 19th. We haven't had a chance to take a quick peek and verify that. Okay. But sure. Just for the record, I mean, I know we were talking about expenses through December. DSS hasn't signed off on those yet. I'm not saying we see any problem. I just want to make sure that those aren't actual expenses on the record against the contract yet.
No, that was just the approved estimates. Budget. Those were the approved budget numbers. Yeah.
So, Melissa, if it's all right with you, I'm going to move the agenda around and move the membership update after other business, because Dawn, I believe you have to leave at 10:30. So I want to leave time for the COVID updates, but also my understanding is there's an item under other business that I think Kathy was going to raise that may relate to Dawn. So I wanted to leave time for that. So, Dawn and Denise. Dawn, if you want to kick us off with COVID updates for DSS. You're on mute, Dawn.
That again? So DSS did receive the COVID kits, the test kits for all of the PCAs who have worked actively within the last 4 weeks. That number was somewhere around 7,000. I get the actual number. We have all the test kits. We did send out the first about 4,500 last Tuesday. They should have been received in addition to the N95 masks that were part of that package. So almost all of the workers did receive kits last week. The second part of that will be their packaging right now from the Kennedy Center, and those will go out probably on Monday to the rest of the PCAs. And then the last piece of that is a mailing to all of the employers. We do have those kits in house. They have been received. They will be the third set of kits and N95s to be going out to our members. So that's our update with the test kits. Having said that, we do daily receive and send emergency COVID kits. If Denise wants to go next, I can pull up our dashboard on that. That's a daily activity. It's not first thing in the morning. We review the requests, and if there's an urgent request that's related to someone who has COVID-19 or a PCA who has COVID-19, we do a same-day delivery by noon. That cadence has not stopped, and the number of masks, obviously with, or maybe it's not obvious, but with the new surge in Omicron now decreasing, but still there was certainly a lot more equipment that was delivered over the last couple of weeks. I can pull up the dashboard. It's helpful. If that visual isn't helpful, let me know.
Dawn, maybe for our new members, you can just tell folks what's in that COVID kit.
So there are different, so we have different kits. So for the kit that has to do with the tests, there are 2 tests that we send out did send out and are continuing to send out to all PCAs and self-directed members. And A kit includes 2 tests that you would use just to, we've all seen them on the news. Everybody knows they're available through the federal government now, right? With your address, you go on the website, you order your kits. We did go ahead and send them out before the federal government to make sure that PCAs had them. Like I said, those were received last week. That specific mailing includes, as I mentioned, a kit that is 2 tests, and then also 10 N95 or KN95 respirators or face masks. That's what that specific mailing was about. But when people send us a request daily, literally, it's reviewed by the clinical staff. And then what the member asks for or what the PCA asks for is mailed out either to the PCA or to the member. It's to the requester. And it's based on a very quick review. Typically, the packages that are mailed are different if somebody is using aerosolizing procedure because the risks are different. So that clinical protocol was developed and implemented on our behalf by DPH. So we follow the clinical standards. If somebody's using aerosolizing procedures, they do get gowns, gloves, at least KN95 masks, and they have been for almost 2 years now in that distribution. And they get enough for every single PCA and for any informal caregivers that are delivering care to that particular member.
Denise?
Sure. Okay, so as Dawn states, DDS does similar regular scheduled PPE distribution, as well as emergency, urgent need, unplanned PPE distribution. So DDS has a process for both regular kits, which would include 20 surgical grade masks and 50 pairs of gloves. So folks can show up at any one of our 4 DDS locations, in-person locations. They're every Wednesday from 10 to 1, the first Wednesday of the month. And all this information is on the DDS website. It's under individuals and families, COVID resources, and then there's a link there that shows a flyer and shows the addresses where people could go. So the first Wednesday of every month, it's always at our East Hartford location, and that's at 155 Founders Plaza. The second Wednesday of every month, unless it's a holiday, and then there's a notice that's up on the website, is at our El Agrasso Center in Stratford. The third Wednesday of the month is at our Uncas on Thames, which is up in Norwich. And then our last location, the fourth Wednesday of every month, is at the South Bray Training School. So folks can go right there. They don't need to pre-order anything. They just show up. For our specialty kits, that's a little different because we do different tracking for that. Folks would need to go on to our DDS website. There's an online request form for folks who have respiratory issues, or if they also have been compromised through either themselves having COVID or exposed to COVID and would like to get a COVID respiratory kit. Folks can go right online and pick the location where they're gonna go and get those kits. Or they can work with their DDS case manager to have those kits hand delivered. So a lot of case managers have been volunteering to go and actually hand deliver these kits. So that's like our general. If somebody contacts their case manager and there isn't a, let's say on a Thursday, and they can't wait for a kit for next Wednesday, the case manager could reach out to our regional contact, which generally is myself and the other 2 SD directors, self-determination directors, and request an urgent kit. And in that case, case managers can work with our regional contacts to get those kits either picked up by the employer of record or one of their families or staff, or a case manager would need to volunteer to get that out, or we can mail them. So there's many different options for those unplanned PPE needs. And then in terms of the federal special government issued state allotment PPEs that Dawn was referring to, those kits are in the process. We have 500 already put together. There was a supply chain issue with terms of the labels. So we're working on getting those out. Hopefully the first 500 will go out to all EORs and their applicable DSPs directly on Wednesday. So ours is our process is now, all the letters went out from the FIs to all the employers of record, notifying them that these special kits were going to be put in the mail. So folks should have already received notice, and the kit should be coming. So in those kits, there's 20 N95 masks and 2 home testing kits, as Dawn already indicated. So we have a lot going on in terms of PPE, a lot of different ways for people to get that special, special equipment if they need it. Does anyone have any questions about that? All right, awesome.
This is Kathy. I just have a quick question. All of that information that you just relayed is on the website.
Yep.
Is it on the PCA Workforce Council website? Because it might be useful to just embed links to stuff so that people know where they can look.
So I can see if the links, why don't I test? We had links originally with the PPE distribution, Kathy, to link to the DSS and directly to the DSS and DDS COVID pages so that people could just get all the information on PPE. I can double check those links when we get off this call, make sure they still go where they should be going, and that there are no broken links, and that all the information is there.
Thanks.
Great. All right, thanks, Dawn and Denise. And anybody have any other questions for them? Okay, so before we do the membership update and subcommittee assignments, if we switch to other business, and Kathy, not to put you on the spot, but was there an issue that you wanted to raise?
It's not so much an issue, is that I had gotten an email from the Connecticut Cross Disability Lifespan Alliance that was seeking people to tell their stories of dealing with the PCA workforce crisis. And that, I guess there was a task force of the Long-Term Services and Supports Rebalancing Committee. And that was just something I hadn't been aware had been established. And I wasn't sure if this was something where we should have also considered inviting people to come to our meeting to do public comment about, but I just wanted to make sure people knew about it. And Melissa, when I emailed her about it, said she did. But I hadn't known about it. So it was just really that, and making sure that people were aware, and that to find out if members of the Workforce Council could go to those Zoom meetings to hear directly from people what their struggles were.
Yeah, Dawn, do you want to speak to that?
So there is a work group that was set up by the steering committee, and it is primarily employers who definitely have been struggling, as all employers. I would say a lot of the folks that we support have been struggling even a little bit more, mostly because for our folks, it's not just a loss of an employee, but it's also a personal threat to safety and health. So, it just makes it, more uncomfortable, obviously, and clearly personal. So I'm happy to share that information, Kathy, if that's the easiest thing to do. That team does report out at the steering committee meetings. They're on the agenda, and they do give reports. They're a pretty active group. I'm not sure how the best way to proceed. I mean, if certain members here would like to also join that task, I'm not sure what the recommendation is.
So Dawn, just for people who may not know, the Long-Term Services and Supports Rebalancing Committee is a separate entity that certainly has overlap with the issues that we address. And is it accurate that there are 2 Zoom opportunities on Thursday? Is it this week that's going on? I think that's the information.
Thursday at 1 and then Thursday at 3 or something like that. There's 2
like 1 to 3 and then 6 to 8 or something like that. I mean, is it helpful for us to post that on the council website? Is it, I mean, how broad do you want? We just want to make sure that as many consumers as possible get this information.
Yeah, from my perspective, I just wanted to make sure people knew about it and that I thought it might be useful if members of the Workforce Council went. I'm going to try to make it to at least part of one of them. So that's really was the reason that I emailed Melissa about it yesterday.
Okay. Well, we can, maybe Melissa, after this meeting, we can at least share with the full council the information about the Zoom meetings.
Yeah, and it looks like it came out from Disability Rights Connecticut. So they're the ones who shared the link to the Zoom meetings on the 27th. So yeah, I can pass that around if that works for everybody.
Yeah, does that work, Dawn?
Sure. I mean, they're super energized group. So getting the word out beyond, their distribution methodology would be great.
Yeah, right. All right, thanks, Kathy. Appreciate that. So, Melissa, did you just want to give a membership update and subcommittee assignments?
Yep.
Most of you guys, the new council members, know that we have various subcommittees, and Melissa's the taskmaster, so she can talk to you about that.
Yeah, so in membership news, we do have one new member pending to represent individuals with developmental disabilities. She was recommended by, I believe, a staff person at the Department of Developmental Services who had worked with her. She has extensive personal experience with the DDS and self-directing direction system. She also, that has now also become a professional. She's also working professionally in, I want to say in the nonprofit sector. I don't have her bio in front of me, but she certainly is a parent with a lot of experience. So her nomination passed up from Claudio to our secretary and waiting to, I'm not sure if it's been passed to the legislator who would be nominating her yet, or where that's caught up, but we have that one going. And then we have another individual who actually is a consumer employer himself, who reached out and said that he would like to become more involved. And I've talked with him several times. And he's very excited. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to he would be representing individuals with physical disabilities. And so hoping to get his nomination packaged up and moved on to Claudio and the Secretary of OPM for review to see if we can move that forward. So where we really need help, we need 2 nominees representing individuals who are older adults. That's, and actually we've received several nominations for people to fill that category. And it turns out, and every single one has wanted to do it and just been too busy. What we're finding is we need to get away from nominating senior center directors are not going to be able to do it. Resident service coordinators not going to be able to do it. So just trying to think outside of the box, if we could find a caregiver or an older adult who is actually self-directing their own services, all the better. But just keep your minds open for those positions. So that's where we are with membership. So we're in a really good spot right now. The in terms of subcommittees, everybody has been mailed the subcommittee list, so you should all know what subcommittee you're on. If you have any questions about, there are currently three subcommittees. There's the Labor Management Subcommittee, the Fund Committee, which is where we talk about training and orientation, and then there's our new short-term committee that's going to hopefully, once we get through labor negotiations, will free up people's time and we'll be able to get up and running our bylaw subcommittee. The bylaw subcommittee could use one more person on it if anybody's interested, and if, you know, bylaws really light your fire, I would, if you could want to sign up for that, that'd be great. Thanks to those who've already signed up. I think having bylaws, now that we have so many new members, I think it's going to be really good to keep us on track. And so if you aren't sure which subcommittee you're on, feel free to email me and I will let you know.
Good, great, thanks, Melissa. Anybody have any questions around that? Okay, next on our agenda is opportunity for public comment. Deirdre, Steve, or Christina? Nobody has any comments? Okay. Deirdre. Yep.
You might have to put them in chat, Deidre. Yeah.
That's fine.
Do you see her comment? She said, where is the info about the rebalancing committee posted, please?
The information about the meetings is posted on the Secretary of State's website. Is that what you're asking? You can nod. Yes.
So Deidre, there's a public, well, as I'm sure you're aware, there's a state public meeting calendar where all state meetings have to be posted. That's on the Secretary of State website. Yep, I'll put the link right in the chat right now.
Yeah. Any other comments? Are you typing more, Deirdre? Oh, there it is.
She wants an update on the RFP process.
Dawn, are you at liberty to talk about that?
The RFP and the addendum are both posted on the bid board. So you can go to the state bid board and you can just look at, you can just search for fiscal intermediary and you'll see it there. The due date has been pushed back to March 3rd, which is about 3 weeks after the original date due to some additional work that had to be done to answer the 125 questions that came in.
Well, obviously there's interest, right?
There was a lot of interest. So yeah, so March 3rd, but it's all right there.
Anything else, Deirdre? Okay. At this point, we had planned to go into executive session. So, wait, Deirdre, are you typing more? Okay.
Deidre, I'll have to email you the link. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting into it.
So I always get this wrong, but I believe we need a motion to adjourn the regular session and to enter into executive session. So I would ask Deirdre, Steve, and Christina to leave the meeting now. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
for
you,
the
David.
update.
Good luck to everything and good to meet everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
I just need someone to second going into executive session before I
This is
step.
Kathy. Go into
Okay.
second.
All right, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to turn off the